change can happen, good or bad, in season. But I wonder if this is going to paint the picture for us.
I don't know. I lean no on that just because it's a long season and it takes a while for you to really know who you are. Now, I don't think that takes away from the fact that you really wanted this team to have a nice start, and they can still have a nice start. I mean, it's just they're not buried or anything like that right now. Are there traits about your team that can develop in the first month, 2 months of the season that stick around for the entire year? Absolutely. But are there also traits that you might have in that first month of the season that kind of work themselves out? They do. So I have a hard time like really doubling down on that one, Kevin.
Well, I'm not really saying like for sure, but I think it's important to understand that, like, just as an example, you can recover from a bad April, but not if you wreck your pitching staff.
Sure.
Right. And, the reason I bring this up is kind of what we talked about yesterday. And that was when you look ahead really to this, what is it? 4 series that are going to be there to wrap up the month of April. It's like one game where you might have a pitching advantage with your starting pitcher. You know, I mean, not much, not many. And, you look at this series we talked about, you're not having that. And that's not the be-all, end-all. You didn't have the advantage against Paul Skeens and you beat him. So, like, this is not a be-all, end-all. But if you're in that position and if we don't see a significant change in the amount of work that the rotation is able to do, we might know you're in trouble. We may not know for sure how it's going to end, but we may know you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, you don't want to wreck a pitching staff in the first month of the season. That's an obvious thing. Can you recover from that? You can, but is it more challenging than recovering from some other things? Absolutely. And that's where the fact that they are going to the 6-man rotation in about a week continues to be a really intriguing thing, because that removes a big piece out of your bullpen. That removes your long guy in Steven Matt. So there's going to be a ton of pressure on starting pitchers to go deeper into games when right now that's not really something that they're doing.
Matt Pauley and Bernie Miklas, of course, here with me. I'm Kevin Wheeler. This is the Redbird Rush Hour. Bern, while we were getting the technical things sorted out, I was asking Matt, and again, not be-all, end-all, because we know things change dramatically within a season, good or bad, right? They can go really a lot better later, a lot worse. But do you think with the way this sets up, with 4 pretty good opponents to wrap up the month of April, that we could know a lot by the end of this month? If not, we're not going to know for sure anything. But I think we might know a lot. And what we were just talking about was, especially if the pitching staff falls apart.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things is, the pitching in general has just been really, really bad for the most part. And there's a lot of problems there. And there's a lot of concerns going forward. But I also remember last season, the Cardinals were 15-24 after 39 games.
Yeah.
They put themselves in a hole. But that was a team that didn't have an offense. I think this team got a better offense. But then again, that team had better pitching. So the Cardinals were able to sort of climb out of that hole last year. But, yeah, I think this is a critical time for the Cardinals. They got off to a great start. And you don't want to get buried in a hole. You don't want to have to dig out of this massive ditch. And if their pitching doesn't fall in line and it doesn't get better, they're going to be in some trouble. I don't care whether it's April or May or whatever. If your pitching's bad, you got a big problem.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I don't necessarily mean that question in a bad way. We might get a positive answer. I mean, if the starting rotation improves, if Liberatore takes the depth that he's providing and gives up a couple fewer runs per game, and if Fetty stabilizes and Sonny Gray stays good and Miles just doesn't blow up every couple of starts, like there's a really good argument that it could be a good thing that we learn.
I would also, the one thing I would push back a little bit on Bernie on comparing last year to this year, I actually, even though last year's team wasn't an especially good team, and I think this year's team actually has a little bit of a higher ceiling.
I agree.
They have a lower floor, but they have a higher ceiling. I think last year's team, with some of those veterans around, they were more built to dig out of a deficit. If this year's team gets put into a deficit, you've got the youngest lineup basically in Major League Baseball, and you're going to be asking those guys to figure that out and figure out how to go on a long run and win a bunch of games in a row to dig out. I think that may be a little bit too much for this team. And I don't I'm not trying to like baby and coddle these guys, and it's going to sound like I am, but that's not what I want some of these players to experience this year. I want them to experience just being able to go out and play kind of regularly every day so we learn who they are. So that's part of the reason I think it's so important that they don't put themselves in that hole.
No, I don't. You said you're pushing back on something. I don't know what you're pushing back on because I agree with you. So, yeah. Anyway,
what I'm really interested in between now and the end of the month, and again, for those that haven't checked, and it's not like these are, I'm not predicting wins or losses, but you got 3 with Philly, 3 with Houston, who's off to a bad start because they're not hitting. Then you got the Mets and you got the Braves, and the Braves are off to a terrible start, but they're actually really good, and they're getting Spencer Strider back next week. So, they're a team that is interesting. But I guess the point here is that, Houston and Atlanta are in our heads good teams. Maybe they won't be when you play them. And I think this is a Cardinals team that we're still kind of figuring out what they're going to be from series to series.
Yeah, and I think their identity, I thought I had their identity pegged. I thought that first homestand, even though they lost a couple of games, there's extra inning games to the Angels. But, the team played with a lot of spirit, a lot of heart. They fought. They had energy level was great. I thought they had a new personality that was kind of evolving, the younger players taking over.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that stuff is there. However, they've lost 7 out of 9. They just had a terrible road trip. And so I think I'm not using the word reset as a smart aleck thing.
Right.
I think this is a reset for them. And will this team sort of come back out on the field and kind of have that same team personality collectively that we saw very, very early? Because that team is very appealing. That team, you thought they're fearless. They don't care about anything. They're going to keep playing and playing and playing. I think they got knocked back. I think they got knocked down. And I want to see how they respond to that. I want to see if that personality shines through, the one that we hope is there.
Well, we can see some of that hopefully this weekend because you're going to need it against the Phillies. That's Bernie Miklasz. Matt Pauley is at the ballpark. He's got your pregame coming up in a few minutes. In an hour. that's more than a few minutes. It's an hour. And obviously, we'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to be talking a lot about some pitching today. I do have some things on the offense lined up, but we are going to get into the team reiterating today. They're going to the 6-man. That scares me. We're going to get to that coming up. It's the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Traffic from the MichaelsFloorandOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we've got a little bit of ball game traffic. This traffic report's a service of Inter Park Holdings. If you're coming in on eastbound 64, it's bogged down. McKnight to Big Bend, and south 170 slow south of Olive, backed up at Brentwood, down to 64 right now. Westbound 64, Clayton Skinker area out to Big Bend, just a little heavy. In St. Charles County, Winghaven out to 70, stop-and-go pockets. On 70, we got some trouble. There's heavy traffic west of 370 at Jams approaching Mid-Rivers. We have a crash in the left lane, westbound 70 at 79. Once you get around that, it's still bogged down west of Lake St. Louis, stop-and-go out through 61, and it remains slow all the way into a David Hokel Parkway after that even. Southbound 55, just a little busy at Bates. Still some slow traffic north of M, about midway down to Z. We had an earlier crash. I think it's mainly on the left shoulder now. And downtown, maybe a little ball game traffic as well. Westbound 64 on the brakes, west of the 70 split, headed across the Poplar. Make game day parking easy with iParkit, with 2 convenient locations on Clark Avenue right next to the ballpark. Download the iParkit app and drive in and out using your license plate. Choose iParkit for convenience and peace of mind. Next update at 5:30 from the MichaelsFloorandOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Baseball is all about stepping up to the plate when it matters most. And when you've been injured, you need a heavy hitter in your corner. At Morgan & Morgan, we don't back down. We fight to get you every dollar you deserve. No curveballs, no strikeouts, just results. That's why we've recovered over $25 billion for our clients and fight for them from offices nationwide. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This month, Siteman Cancer Center spotlight is testicular cancer. Dr. Woodson Smelser.
Yeah, so the first step is to talk to your doctor, and generally they would order imaging of the testicle and look for actual tumor, and oftentimes they will do an examination or send you to a urologist to have an examination. And I find that the place where a lot of times men have some hesitance or trepidation, obviously, because it seems like it may be an invasive exam, but that's an exam that could save your life.
Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour, 104.1 KMOX. We got Bernie Miklas. We've got Matt Pauley. Got me, Kevin Wheeler, hanging out. So we're all in three different places talking about baseball at the same time. That's fantastic. I absolutely love that. All right, let's just jump back in. They just made the announcement today, and I think this is going to take some time to sort through, but we'll run to you guys here real quick and start with you, Bern. They reiterated today that they're going with the six-man rotation. Just, you know my reaction. Matt and I, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Your reaction to that with the way things are going right now and going one less reliever and a sixth starter?
I really question it, unless there were some things said today that would sort of prompt me to rethink it. But I'm looking at the Cardinals right now, and like Matthew Liberatore, from an inning standpoint, has been really good. He's averaged 6.2 innings per start. Gray's a little bit over 5 innings per start. Fetty's exactly at 5 innings per start. Michaelis has averaged 4 innings per start. Palante's under 5 innings per start. Matt's, who knows what he'll have. My point is, you know, they're already taxing the bullpen with a 5-man rotation, and now you're going to take Matt's out of the bullpen, put him in the rotation. And where are you going to get enough innings from your starters that will be able to give the relievers a fair fight, a fair chance?
For me, you have to start being really liberal with how you are using the shuttle between St. Louis and Memphis, where there's a bunch of guys on the 40-man roster that you don't really differentiate much about. They have Munoz up right now. You can go to Riley O'Brien. You can go to Gordon Graceffo. This is going to be something where if they're really going to go all in with the six-man rotation, the moment that bullpen starts to leak a little oil or you got a couple guys who are unavailable and you've got somebody with options, I'm sending them down. And I know there's limitations and guys got to be down there for 10 days and everything. You work through that, you massage that, you navigate it, you figure it out. But to me, that shuttle between the two affiliates is going to become incredibly important with a six-man rotation.
Well, you also can't be taking your ace out after 71 pitches. And you can't be taking Eric Fetty out after 88 pitches on a no-hitter. You have to push these guys. And, you know, and I don't see why it would be any different once you get to the middle of this month with a six-man than it would be when you had a bunch of off days and everybody's getting extra rest anyway. Like, you have to push those guys. That's going to have to be the case, or this will not work even with that shuttle, because the guys on that shuttle aren't proven. By nature of what they are, they're not proven. So you're going to be putting a lot on guys that have a lot to show.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not real encouraged by the depth at Memphis, although it's really early and that could change. There's no one down there where you go, yeah, well, I got to get him. McGreevy, of course.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do that. But no, I think Graceffo's got a chance, but there's a lot down there where you just like, okay, kind of maybe, I don't think so. I don't know if everything breaks the right way. I don't know. I think this is where their failure to be more aggressive with the bullpen in the offseason is probably going to bite them in their rear end, really.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Obviously, Matt's got the pregame coming up in a little bit. Cardinals and the Phillies kick off a 3-game series at 7:15. And, man, we got just so much more to get into. There's just never enough time. We'll keep on rolling with the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX coming up after the news.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, they're trying to wrap up this crash westbound 70 at 79. They got at least one of the vehicles, hopefully it's the last vehicle, loaded onto a flatbed. So westbound Highway 70, you've got a jam approaching Mid-Rivers out to that crash at 79. After that, it's still slow around Lake St. Louis, and it jams from A to Z. And again, still busy most of the way out through the Wayscales west of David Oakville Parkway. Westbound 64, Science Center out through McCausland's a little busy. We're still bogged down west of Winghaven. Stop-and-go pockets out to Highway 70. South 270 has cleared out. Westbound 44, a little slow in the right lanes coming through Lindbergh. South 55 between Gaskin and Bates, a little busy. This crash is still in the median. Southbound 55, south of M, it's jammed at Highway M. The left lane may be partially blocked. It's hard to tell from my vantage point. Westbound 44, past the bridges downtown, slow. Westbound 64 from the 70 split to the Poplar is heavy as well. Next update at 540 from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
At 5:30, 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. The president wants the country to stick with one time.
President Donald Trump is not a fan of the semi-annual time change in the U.S., saying it's unpopular, inconvenient, and costly. Now Trump is urging Congress to push hard for more daylight at the end of the day. Trump's social media post comes a day after a Senate panel heard testimony on the issue. Last month, Trump said he was 50-50 on making a change because parents are not fond of sending their kids to school in the dark in the morning. The president's current position, calling for more daylight at the end of the day, would push the schedule forward, keeping the country on its current schedule. Daylight savings time was first adopted as a wartime measure in 1942 and is still recognized in most parts of the country. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The federal government chooses Missouri and 6 other states to explore and expand nuclear energy programs. State Department of Natural Resources Director Kurt Schaefer tells MissouriNet the U.S. Department of Energy will help Missouri to develop nuclear energy policy and financing options.
The financing aspect of nuclear is really one of the most difficult things about getting it deployed. And so we have really, I think it's the beginning of that discussion of how we reinvigorate nuclear energy in the United States.
Schaefer says a benefit to nuclear power is it does not have a carbon emission. Electricians will be fanning out across the region tomorrow morning.
It's the 22nd annual Repair Blitz, where electrical contractors make repairs free of charge for low-income homeowners. About 20 electricians from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers and the National Electrical Contractors Association will volunteer at 15 homes. Work includes fixing exposed wires and overtaxed circuits, installing new fixtures, lighting, and ceiling fans. Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Clear sky tonight, low 37. For tomorrow, sunshine, high 64. Sunday's high 67. Right now, 56 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Hop into spring with Lombardo Homes at our citywide Easter scavenger hunt. Join us Saturday, April 12th from 12 to 4 p.m. at any Lombardo display home in St. Charles and mid-Missouri. Start your hunt, search for hidden items, and earn entries for a grand prize, $1,000 in Visa gift cards. Plus, snap a selfie with the Easter Bunny at Cottleville Trails from 1 to 4. Pups welcome too. Don't miss golden eggs, bonus prizes, and a whole lot of festive fun. Find your starting point at LombardoHomes.com and let the hunt begin. Sponsored by Lombardo Homes. Some restrictions apply.
Join us for the next Business of Family Business on KMOX. I'm Debbie Monterey, along with my co-host Kevin Short of Clayton Capital Partners, and we're going to be talking about plumbing.
We are, but the really interesting, fun part of plumbing, not the nasty side of plumbing. So you will learn a lot about the business.
It is Matt LaMartina of Tony LaMartina Plumbing. It is going to be a fascinating conversation, so we hope you will join us Saturday at 5 here on KMOX for the Business of Family Business.
You are a successful electrical contractor, but you plus a dedicated team supporting your project from day one? That's taking your productivity to the next level. And Graybar can help you get there. Your relationships plus our relationships. Your capabilities plus our job site services. Your challenges plus our technical specialists. You alone can get the job done, but you plus Graybar, that's smart business. Yep, Graybar does that.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise, but the one thing we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies, 314-991-9005, or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC-registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918-615.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourIDoc.com.
Today,
The Cards, the Phillies.
Cameron Total Access 620.
Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM, KMOX. You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour 104.1 KMOX. Matt Pauley is at the ballpark. God, man, the words are just not working today, man. The ballpark.
It is Bark in the Park night of Karina Pooch's day. So there you go.
Oh, there we go. I knew that.
You knew it.
I knew that. I just teasing. Matt Pauley is at the ballpark. Pregame coming up at 6:20 tonight, 7:15 first pitch. Bernie Miklas is with us. And Bernie is with us, of course, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Tell us about Saliga, Bern.
I'd be happy to, Kev. Thank you. Saliga Heating and Cooling been taking care of St. Louis since 1927. 4 generations of Saligas. Dan Saliga doing a great job keeping those standards high, man. And this independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer will take great care of you. And I should know because we've been taken care of by Saliga for the last 16 years. 100% honesty, professional knowledge, everything's there. They'll never try to upsell you, hustle you, double talk you, whatever. They play it straight. They look to save you money. And when they say they're going to be at your home, they'll be at your home. They're prompt and their attention to detail is fantastic. So I want you to go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com and take a look at all that they have, but pay special attention. Take a look at the Priority Club. It's a preventive maintenance program that can pay off for you in the long run. That's been our experience. So this American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer is standing by whenever you need them at 314-481-7333, 481-7333, and SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
All right, so I got a question for you guys. And this is just big what if. I hope for better. But what does this season look like to you guys if in the end the sum total of starting pitchers for the Cardinals this year equals the sum total of Cardinals starting pitchers next year? Do we end up around the same? In other words, add up all the performances of Michaelis, Gibson, Lynn, Gray, Palante, and all those guys and replace those names with the guys now. If your total numbers are about what they were, how does that stack up for you? Because obviously that means the offense needs to be better, quite a bit better over the course of 6 months. But as you touched on, Bernie, that also puts a lot on that bullpen, which right now is not looking like it did last year.
Yeah, and it's tough to ask this offense to continue to average 6 runs per game, too. That's not realistic. I don't know. I mean, that's a tough question. It's kind of a brain teaser. What are you trying to do? I'm
trying to break you guys.
trying to get me dizzy and I'm going to like fall over? What do you? No, I don't know, Kevin. I think. I mean, right now I would take last year's rotation.
Yeah,
I don't think that's your question though. So I
no,
apologize.
actually, that is kind of really what I'm saying is because if you're going to see Liberatore make a full season and eventually McGreevy gets in there, I don't know that that's the end of the world because I just don't think there's a huge upside to the rotation. I don't think we're going to see this rotation take a big step forward. Do you, Matt?
No, I'll take that. If you can get the numbers from the rotation last year, I really think the bullpen's going to stabilize. It may not be the strength of what it was last year. It almost statistically just can't be. It was so good last year. Just some luck is going to get involved, and they'll probably take a little bit of a step back. But I do believe that it's going to be a good offensive club. To Bernie's point, you're not going to keep doing what you've done for the first 2 weeks of the season.
Has to be better than last year, though, right?
Yeah, if you take a few steps forward compared to last year, which right now seems like a very good possibility, I think that puts this team very much in playoff contention. I don't know if it's good enough to get into the playoffs, but I think it puts them in contention.
Bern, how do you feel? I think I know, but how do you feel about just the last 3 innings with a lead when you got Maton, Romero, Helsley, and then maybe even Leahy working himself into that mix somehow?
I'd like to see Kyle Leahy put in more high leverage situations because he's been absolutely fantastic so far, and he was really good for what they needed him to do last year too. Romero's not the same pitcher. You're not sure what you're gonna get each time he comes out. His strikeout rate after last season, the first month or two, really disintegrated. So I don't feel as good about them in the final 3 innings as I did last year, and I'm actually being a reasonable guy because I see no reason to hold them to that standard because they're not going to hit it.
Right.
They're just not as deep and reliable, at least right now, as they were in the final 3-4 innings last year. I mean, they were fantastic. So I don't see this one quite as strong.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think that's what this is all kind of setting up the next segment. So I'll give you guys the tease in advance. So I'm not trying to break your brain last time like I did this segment. But
it's a Friday night, man.
Right.
You're making me think too much. Anyway.
But this all tied together to the next question is how good can the offense be? Because that's going to determine the season. I think we're going to discuss that coming up. It's Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you leading up to the top of the hour. Cardinals baseball, by the way, starting tonight at 7:15. Right now, this is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This traffic report's a service of the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. If you're headed home on westbound Highway 70, they're working to clear that crash. The tow truck was on the scene. I think they got it out of the way. Westbound 70 and 79. Traffic's still pretty heavy, though, backed up at Mid-Rivers to that point. And even after you get around that, you're still backed up from almost Lake St. Louis Boulevard to Wentzville Parkway, so it's still pretty solid out west. Westbound 64 at the city limits, a little slow. It's still bogged down at Winghaven and backed up west of the boulevard out to Highway 70, so still busy in the Westplex. Westbound 44, the ramp lanes from Geyer on to South 270 past the merge on point there are backed up. Southbound 55, a little busy at Bates. There's still this slow traffic from M almost midway down to Z. It's a little closer to M. That crash has been in the median all afternoon long. There's a crash reported on the ramp from, or it's actually at the end of the ramp from 141 on to eastbound 70, so traffic's backing up east of the Blanchette Bridge up to that trouble spot. Ball game traffic eastbound 64 from McKnight to Big Bend. South 170 bogs down at the Parkway. Westbound 64 heavy from the 70 split across the bridge. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL. Next update at 5:50 from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
It's really hard to listen to this song and not throw the fist in the air. Really hard.
I was
don't know this
snapping.
one. Yeah, this is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Let's talk offense for a minute. We know the offense last year was brutal, and we know it's been really good so far, and I think you're totally right, Bern. We can't expect this level of run production for a full season. We can't expect a 789 team OPS for 6 months. That's just not very likely to happen. But do you guys agree that it's do you guys agree that this should be a better offense than it was last year when we get done with 6 months? Or is that pushing it a little bit?
Well, I have a short answer. Yeah, I think it will be a better offense because all you got to do is look at the outfield. The Cardinals had a horrendous offensive performance collectively from their outfield. It was one of the worst in baseball last year. This year so far, they're getting a lot of great production out of their offense from their outfield. And I think guys like Victor Scott and Jordan Walker are only going to get better. There's more upside now.
Agreed.
Newt Bar, if he stays healthy, there's more upside. The outfield alone can make this a much better offense than what we saw last year.
Yeah, tons of upside. Jordan Walker's batting second tonight. I like it. Wilson
Love
Contreras
it, man. He's got a 378 OBP. Let's go. Get him up there.
And his bat swing speed, like the underlying numbers for Walker, are incredible. He's got one of the fastest swings in all of Major League Baseball right now. So I think you're going to see Walker hopefully get better. Like Lars Nootbaar has the ability to play at an all-star level if he stays healthy. We know what Brendan Donovan is. We haven't talked about Nolan Arenado so far. It's a little mixed. Some of the underlying numbers are not great on him, but at the same time, his bat speed is much improved compared to last year. So I don't think
and he's walking more.
Yeah. To me, it's like a clear, easy thing to say that, yes, this is a better offensive club than last season. I don't know how you argue in the other direction.
No, I agree. And again, considering that what we've seen so far is not really going to be sustainable at that level, nobody really does that. I'm not even sure the Dodgers are going to do what we're talking about with 6 runs a game, right? I mean, they have the most loaded top of the order in baseball. But again, you've done this without your best hitter, without him doing a thing. And nothing really yet from Gorman because he wasn't playing much and then he got hurt. He's, maybe going out on a rehab assignment soon if they need him to do that. I also think that, and I think, Bernie, I didn't remember if you pointed this out or if it was us talking about it, Matt, but I think there's room for improvement too if eventually when they're back to getting Herrera in the lineup, which might be a while, and getting Gorman in there, because we could probably use a little less of Burleson at this point. I mean, if he's not going to make better swing decisions, then he's going to be the big guy that just does nothing but ground out and hit singles.
I was in a position. I'm sorry. I can't get the words out.
It happened. I spread it to you, man. It's my bad.
So there was a situation not too long ago. I was like the biggest Burleson honk in town. I would say he's got to play more. 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 I'm a little down on Burleson for one reason, because I chart this. I'm obsessed with this. His swing decisions, as you called them. He is lunging at everything. And I don't care that he makes contact, because when he hits non-strikes, his numbers are brutal. When he hits strikes, numbers are great.
Yep.
He just simply can't lay off pitches. And people say, well, boy, that guy's got great contact skills. I don't want him to have great contact skills on pitches out of the zone. I'd rather see him look at the pitches go by and not swing at them. He's way too aggressive.
It's something we don't talk about enough. There are guys out there that you just accept if you're going to do nothing with a pitch that's in an area that you can't do anything with it, you take it. And sometimes it's going to be a strike and sometimes it's going to be a ball. And if it's a strike and you end up striking out on it, so be it. Because an out is an out is an out. And sometimes it's going to be a ball and you're going to get an advantage because of it. So yeah, Burleson, he's got 5 strikeouts in 40 at-bats this year. I can make the argument that I would almost rather that number be higher because of those swing decisions. His OPS isn't very good, 660 OPS. Of his 11 hits this year, only 3 have gone for extra bases. They've all been doubles. He doesn't have a triple. He doesn't have a home run. So if Burleson's going to be a middle-of-the-order run-producing bat, the profile that he has, again, 12 games, 40 at-bats, small sample size, same stupid disclaimer we do all the time. It's got to be better than this.
Yeah, and look, he hit 20 homers last year. That's fine. There's not a lot wrong with that. But at the same time, though, he's one thing. He's a hitter because he's a bad runner. He's in the bottom 5-10% of runners. So when he hits a ground ball with somebody on base, it's a double play. And he doesn't have any defensive versatility. And if you're not going to be a bigger threat, and look, I know it's kind of weird. Don't you wish, guys, that we could mesh the skill sets of Nolan Gorman and Alec Burleson, right? Just have the raw power and the ability to get the ball in the air that Gorman has with a little more contact like Burleson has. I mean, that would be a hell of a hitter, even without walks, right? That would be a hell of a hitter. But that's kind of part of where I think this offense eventually can be better. It's not just about Burleson. It's that I think there are more pieces that can play big roles Herrera getting back in there, Gorman getting in there. Look, Sajasi's hit since coming up. He's a guy that can help you over the course of 6 months too.
Look, when Gorman's healthy, it's going to be a decision for them to make. Sajasi versus Siani, who's going down because they're getting production right now from Sajasi.
I will actually understand not keeping Sajasi if he's not going to have regular at-bats. I mean, he needs to play, man. He needs to be an everyday guy. But that doesn't mean it should still be Siani instead of somebody who can play shortstop. And you've got a couple of those guys in the minor leagues that could fit that as well. All right, stick around. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler. We got one more segment for you here on the Redbird Rush Hour. After the 6 o'clock news, we'll be getting to the pregame show. I think actually you got like 5 minutes of Sports Open Line, right, Matt? And then you're going to get to the pregame show.
I think we're
going
to roll.
Are we going to roll right into it?
Pregame.
All right, pregame at 6:20, first pitch at 7:15 here on 104.1 KMOX.
Baseball is back, and this season there are more ways than ever to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. New for 2025, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. And for a limited time, you can get started with a 30-day free trial using code CARDS30DAY when you sign up at FanDuelSportsNetwork.com. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves. That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50-plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient, physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50-plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
The Biz Dash returns as St. Louis's healthiest happy hour. Combining fitness and fun, it's a perfect team bonding activity for any size business. All levels of runners and walkers are welcome. Join us this spring at Energizer Park, home of St. Louis City SC, for the 10th year of the Biz Dash, the ultimate office party and kickoff to summer. Thursday, May 22nd at Energizer Park in downtown St. Louis. Create your company team today at stlbizdash.com.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase. I just paid hundreds for this flight and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels. Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale. I'm just gonna sleep. In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well. I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, ball game traffic, there's a little slowdown eastbound 64 east of McKnight to about Big Bend. South 170 just busy from the Parkway to 64. Not bad. Downtown, there's volume westbound 44 between the bridges, and westbound 64 is actually slow on 5570 from Exchange. More stop than it is go all the way across the Poplar. So Illinois drivers really have a tough time of a train crossing. Route 3 at Queenie. Southbound Route 3 is jammed back at Monsanto. Northbound is back between Jerome and Judith. Westbound 64 looking pretty good out of the city now. There's still heavy traffic. Those stop-and-go pockets from 364 out to Highway 70. Westbound 70, you've got heavy traffic right through Mid-Rivers because of that earlier crash at 79, bogged down from Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to Wentzville, or out to Highway Z at least. And they're still working the crash eastbound 70, just east of our city. The right lane's blocked. Traffic's jammed back across the Blanchette Bridge. You're coming in for the ball game via that route. Next update at 5:59 from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, one more segment here at Redbird Rush Hour. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. All right, guys, I'm sticking with the offense here for this segment. What happened to all the spring talk about being aggressive and stealing bags, man?
Yeah.
They have 7 stolen bases, 5 by Victor Scott, which is great, by the way. If Victor Scott just plays 125 games at this pace, he's going to steal 55 bags. So, if he stays on this pace and plays 130, 140 games, we're going to be looking at a 60 steal season. The only other player with a stolen base is Jordan Walker. And I don't know why do we do this? Why do we keep talking about year in and year out being more aggressive? Only 3 other guys have even tried a stolen base so far.
You're so right. I mean, spot on. And the other thing about this is the Cardinals this year, until recently, they were drawing a lot of walks.
Yeah,
and they have a very high on base percentage. It's one of the best in baseball.
350 right now.
So they've got runners on base. They have opportunities to steal. Now, I don't know whether Ali Marmol's kind of laying back because the hitting's been so good and they're driving guys in.
Outs or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can say. But as a general principle, you're absolutely correct. No doubt about it. They need to take advantage of these rules, which they haven't done now.
I mean, they're on pace for about the same number of steals as last year, Matt, and that's with Victor Scott swiping the house.
Yeah, I guess the devil's advocate position is that they're scoring a bunch of runs and having a good offensive season. So, don't do something to create more outs. But I don't agree with that. That's I'm trying to think of what they're maybe thinking. That's not what Matt Pauley thinks.
Telling us every spring you want to run more.
Yeah,
stop doing that. Yeah,
I mean, I guess you can. Okay, so let's talk about like Mason Wynn specifically because he's somebody that you would like to see run a little bit more. Are they worried that if Wynn gets thrown out, then all of a sudden you've got Nootbaar and Contreras and those guys coming up in non-RBI opportunities? I don't know. Like, just run more. Like be aggressive. Put yourself in position to get runners home by just getting a base hit because they're on in scoring position. It's really simple. It's really basic to me. But it is to your point, Kevin. It is incredibly frustrating when that is a talking point of spring and it has not happened yet.
Yeah, and in that regard, look, I love Bernie. I love Jordan Walker taking off. He's underratedly fast. I mean, he's like in the top 13, 14% of sprint speed in baseball. And I love that he's being aggressive. But I would love to see more of that from Wynn. I mean, look, if Wynn's not going to steal bases or get on base, come on, buddy. I mean, he's actually been better lately, and I don't want to crap on him. Like his last 30 plate appearances have been excellent. He's been really
taking a lot
good.
of walks now.
Yes,
he's walking a lot now.
He is. So if he keeps that up, but like they need him and Newt and heck even Donovan to once in a while swipe a bag.
Yeah, and that's what I don't know whether they is it a matter of they just Ali and they don't have enough confidence in enough guys. They only want to. They only want to, in effect, like go for something that they believe is really, really a high percentage play. Maybe they just don't trust their guys. Yeah. Maybe their guys aren't good base stealers. Because I don't want to see him running out.
No, I agree.
I really wonder whether they have enough guys who are good at this.
Then go hire Vince Coleman as your new base running instructor and have him with the team and with all those guys every single day.
Or stop talking about it.
Yeah.
or do what they're doing now, which is to rebuild their player development system.
Yeah.
So guys will learn how to steal bases before they get to the big leagues, which hasn't been happening.
No, not really.
Other than Victor Scott.
Like Wynn should know. I mean, Wynn is definitely fast. He should be a base stealer by the time he gets to the big leagues. That's a really good point. All right, boys, have yourselves a great weekend. Bernie, good to see you. We'll talk again here on Monday and, of course, on DGS next week as well. Matt, have fun tonight, buddy. Cardinals and Phillies, 6:20 pregame, 7:15 first pitch. Here on your home for the Cardinals, KMOX, and obviously this has been the Redbird Rush Hour.
Biodiesel blends made with soy feedstocks are the most reliable renewable fuels. Soy-powered biodiesel blends are better for engines, providing better cold flow